3,000 years before the telephone, there was already a way to send a message faster than any horse could carry it. It didn't need roads. It couldn't be ambushed. And it worked using an animal most people today only think of as a nuisance in a park. This wasn't a novelty. Pigeon messengers decided the outcome of real battles, carried news of empires falling, once told a city the Olympic Games had ended, hours before any human messenger could arrive. So how does a bird actually know where to fly? Let's find out. Here's the trick behind the entire system, and it's simpler than people expect. A pigeon cannot be told where to go. It can only be trained to fly home. Every pigeon message in history only ever traveled in one direction, toward the loft the bird was raised in. This is called homing instinct, genuinely one of the most remarkable navigation systems in the animal kingdom. Pigeons appear to combine the position of the sun, the Earth's magnetic field, and memorized landmarks and smells to find their way home from places they've never consciously traveled, sometimes over 1,000 kilometers. Okay, so it flies home. But how do you send a message to someone if the bird only ever flies back to where it started? The answer is elegantly simple. You bring the bird to wherever you're going before you need it. A general marching off to a distant battlefield would carry cages of young pigeons raised at his home city's loft. Weeks or months later, in the middle of a siege, he could release one, and it would fly straight back to where it was born, carrying his news. The message had to be tiny and light. Senders wrote on thin scraps of papyrus, silk, or fine paper, rolled impossibly small, sealed inside a hollow quill or tiny capsule, then tied to a leg with wax or thread. A pigeon can only carry a few dozen grams without it costing speed and stamina. The practice goes back astonishingly far. Ancient Egyptians used pigeons to announce the arrival of important ships and the crowning of new pharaohs. In Mesopotamia, messenger pigeons were recorded in royal and religious use as early as the 2nd millennium BC, one of the oldest deliberately engineered communication technologies in human history. In ancient Greece, pigeon messengers famously carried Olympic results to the athletes' home cities, meaning some towns knew who had won before the victor himself had even left the stadium grounds. The bird outran the champion. Rome took it further, building relay networks. A message wasn't flown directly across the whole empire, but passed loft to loft, each fresh bird handling one leg of the journey before carrying it onward, faster and further reaching than any single rider. Centuries later, the Mongol Empire ran what may be history's most sophisticated version, a vast relay network of horse riders and messenger birds together, moving information across an empire from China to Europe at a speed nothing else on Earth could match for another 600 years. By the 1800s, financiers understood exactly what this speed was worth. There's a famous story that the Rothschild family learned the outcome of Waterloo a full day before London's official news arrived, and used that head start to make a fortune on the stock exchange. Historians still argue over exactly how it happened, but the pigeon's edge and speed was very real. But the most astonishing part of this story isn't ancient at all. This exact same bird was still saving human lives less than 100 years ago, in the deadliest war humanity had ever fought. In both world wars, when radios failed, were jammed, or couldn't be risked, armies on every side still relied on hundreds of thousands of messenger pigeons. Tanks, submarines, and aircraft carried them as a genuine backup, because a bird cannot be intercepted by an enemy listening on a radio frequency. One bird, named Cher Ami, became genuinely famous for it. In 1918, she carried a desperate message from a surrounded American battalion, flying the final distance despite being badly wounded, delivering the message that ended up saving nearly 200 trapped soldiers. Here's what's genuinely humbling about all this. For most of human history, our fastest, most unhackable communication network wasn't built by us at all. We simply noticed a bird already knew how to do something extraordinary and quietly borrowed it for 3,000 years. So next time you see a pigeon in a park, unimpressed, doing nothing more heroic than eating a dropped chip, remember what its ancestors once did, simply by knowing, better than any technology we've built since, exactly how to get home. The humble park pigeon, secretly one of history's greatest messengers. Hit subscribe. Next time we're uncovering another everyday thing with a genuinely astonishing past. See you there.